pumpkin's really one of the things that people really like. And I always like to have, because I don't do pumpkin so much during the rest of the year unless it's like pumpkin bread. So it's nice to have pumpkin choices that are plant-based and good for you. So you'll notice in the recipes, we don't use any oil, we don't use any eggs. I've really cut back on the sugar also because I know a lot of people prefer not to have as much sugar as that. So we actually did a date paste, which I'll show you here that we have, and that kind of thing. So I just kind of made a little bit of revisions, just, when people, because I know people are looking for healthier versions of the desserts, but have them still taste really, really good. So that's what we're going to do. So we'll get things going. We'll get them in the oven. We'll probably talk and answer some questions about, like favorite Thanksgiving dishes, all those kind of things. And then we will bring them out after they get a little bit cooked. We will bring them out and show you guys what we're doing. So, all right. So we're going to make 3 recipes, and then I'm going to have Jerry introduce himself. So we're going to do a pumpkin creme brulee, which is a really good one. It is like eating pumpkin pie without the crust. But if you make it, you could always put the crust on the bottom and bake it and then put the creme brulee on it. You could do that, but truthfully, you don't need it. It's just like pumpkin pie to the nth degree. Love it. And then a spiced pumpkin pie cake. Jerry loves this cake. It is not real sweet, but it's got a lot of really good spices in it. But it's just a really good overall that you can, you can put like some fresh fruit with it. You can put some tofu on that. You can do all those kind of things to add to it and just make it really good. So, but it's more of a basic. You could also put it in muffin tins if you wanted to and make little pumpkin pie cake muffin tins, which is really nice. And then then the other one, which is a really fan favorite, was an Ooey Gooey pumpkin cake. It's going to be like a cake, like a pumpkin cake with more of a date pumpkin pudding. And so the whole bottom of it is nothing but the Ooey Gooey, which is really cool. And it's a really easy, cake to make because it's pretty much, you mix it up. And then when I show you this, you're gonna be like, wow, that's really cool. And then down the road, if you guys love chocolate, I have a version of this for the chocolate cake. And then you can put like strawberries and all that kind of stuff in it. But if you want that one, then just email me you'll see the email on the chat, at Kelley at Plant-Based Kitchen, and I'll send you the chocolate one because that's another one, especially with Valentine's Day, because it seems like the months are going like crazy fast right now. And Valentine's Day is going to come up, or you could do a chocolate dessert for Christmas. So, but I do have a chocolate version of that is like eating chocolate cake with like hot fudge. It's that good. So happy to share.
Less calories.
Yeah, a lot less calories in these recipes, and definitely with me going with the date paste and mixing that in versus all the sugar, we've really cut the calories on that, but not the flavor. So that's what we always do, is got to keep the flavor. All right, and this is Jerry's dinner for tonight. No, I'm kidding. He's not the biggest. He's not the biggest like guy. He likes certain sweets, and he said like maybe like if I make a sweet, he'll eat it like maybe 1 or 2 servings, and then the rest goes away. So we end up usually carting it over to his daughter-in-law, who ends up feed it with her family and those kind of things, because he's not a big sweet tooth. But so that's why I have in the oven, I have already baked potatoes going, vegetables and salad and all those kind of things, so he can have a little dessert afterwards, because this would be like a crazy dinner. But I could see it with Ooey Gooey pumpkin cake. It's a good one. So all right, so Jerry, you want to introduce yourself? Sure. And then we'll get started making things and get them in the oven.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, plant-based nutritionist, and a lot of desserts. So I don't have a big sweet tooth, but I'll indulge once in a while. So, but anyway, let's let you know that I have some nutrition education classes coming up. I just did one on Start Solution a couple of weeks ago, and I'm doing one Saturday at 1 o'clock Mountain Time. Type 2 diabetes and type 1 diabetes, and how to prevent and reverse diabetes, because it's an epidemic form here in the United States right now. And and you can reverse it in a short period of time eating a plant-based diet. So that's the topic for Saturday. If you're interested, it's on the meetup site. And if you go to my website, plantbasednutritionlifestyle.com, it's in the chat window. You can just go to that link or email me. And I like to do more for nutrition classes in the future. So if you guys have a topic you like to talk about, calorie density, weight loss, heart disease, I'll be glad to do those classes at any time. They're free. So yeah, if you can join me Saturday, that'll be great. We've got about 25 people already signed up, so hopefully it'll work. But I'm just going to be behind the camera and watching all the fun stuff. So thanks a lot. Talk to you later.
Perfect. Hey, Robin, thank you for the email and stuff. Yes, I will get that. I will make sure that I keep that and we'll get that recipe out to you because the chocolate one, if you like chocolate, it's one of the best. All right, so we're going to start with the pumpkin creme brulee because I want to get that into the oven. So got the oven going. So we're going to blend the tofu. So we're going to use silken tofu. So you can get silken tofu at all the stores, or you can actually, so it's either in the like the dairy and where they have all the like the plant-based items, or you can buy it at let's see, what is it, Sprouts, and they usually have it in little boxes that's more shelf safe. So you can do it either way. The right now and stuff, because we just went to King Soopers, we've just got the silken tofu, and it's just really silky, and you don't need the whole amount, but you'll notice and stuff when I put it in here, there's quite a bit of liquid, so I'm just going to drain the liquid out because we don't need it. So it's just a really creamy type of tofu, so it makes really good, creamy bases versus when you get the tofu and stuff that's like firm, it's going to make it more like you're going to see little pieces of tofu in there, which is not what you want to see. You want this to be all nice and creamy. Okay, so you get the tofu in there. And then the one thing, thank you, Patty, for also noticing too, it says non-dairy milk. So just a regular soy milk, or, if you've got almond milk, you can do that, but you need a 1/4 cup because it's somehow got cut off on the recipe. So 1/4 cup of the non-dairy, mix that in there. And then I'm going to blend.
This is good.
Doesn't take very long because it's so creamy anyway. So that's the side. So you notice that it just looks really creamy, which is really nice. So just a nice creamy type of look. All right. So then we're going to add the pumpkin puree. So just regular canned, Libby's, whatever you've got, pumpkin puree. So just add that in. And if it doesn't want to come out as much as it does, then just grab a spoon. Don't make sure you get the pumpkin puree and not the pumpkin, the pumpkin pie mix. Because if you get that and stuff, it already has a lot of milk products and things in it, which is not what you're going to want. So pumpkin puree. And the good thing is there still is pumpkin in the stores, even with COVID. So I was a little worried about it. So I bought up a whole bunch of pumpkin, but I keep seeing it coming back every week. So that's a good thing. Pumpkin pie spice, one of my most favorite spices. So we're actually putting a teaspoon of that in there. And then we've got coconut sugar. I didn't use, I haven't done this one with the date paste yet. So I'm still going to use the coconut sugar. Just because I want the flavor and things, but I'm going to try it next time with date paste to see if I can get the same creaminess that it sets up. So I'm just going to put that in there, coconut sugar, just add it just to the list. And then of course you need a little bit of cornstarch. So cornstarch or arrowroot, either one of those that you can use. Just do that. All right, so then I'm going to add the top again, and I'm going to blend it. Just mix it up a little bit. Make sure you get all that cornstarch, everything else in it. All right. Use the date paste is the same amount as the coconut sugar. That's what I need to test on this one. I'm going to give you the exact amounts. I gave you the exact amounts on the rest of it. I don't know about this one because I think it's probably going to be less. And it's a great question. It's probably going to be less, but that's something that I'll test out and then I can post and let you know, because I want to make sure, because if you've got a bunch of liquids together, I want to make sure it sets up the right way. So great question. All right, so the brulees got these cute little dishes. You don't have the ramekins. If you don't have them, then feel free to use different types of bowls or anything like that that you want. But here's what it looks like before I actually start pouring it out. Just looks like nice creamy. It's like almost like what you put a pumpkin pie together back when we used to put all the milk and the eggs and everything in it. So I'm going to make this, actually will make more than 4, but I will, well, let's see. Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. So let's just pour all 4. Just put them in the little ramekins. Like I said, if you don't, if you've got other little baking dishes, or you could make it just one big. If you've got a bigger, like a ramekin type of a thing like this, you could just do it in one if you wanted to.
Like this.
Yeah, so I could actually probably get one more. So I could probably get 5. So I'm going to hold that off to the side. And they're ready to go. So then grab a baking dish or a baking pan, whichever one you want to do. Grab some hot water. So I've already had it boiling. Pour that in there. And then what that does, then what you do is you put your ramekins in there. It's like all the fancy stuff that you get to see on the Food Network and all that. So you just put those in there. And then I'm going to put them in the oven. Done. That is it for you for the brulee. So once it's done and stuff, we're going to put like a little bit of sugar topping, but you could actually leave that off if you want to. That was because if you don't want that extra sugar, but it's always kind of nice to have that, especially if you have like a blowtorch, which I don't. You can just put them in there and then you can put the broiler on and it just gives that nice little caramelized. So it's almost like when you're kind of cracking through it a little bit. So we'll do that here in just a few minutes. After that's, we're actually about 30 minutes. All right. So let me put this to the side because that's still good, yummy. And it's, if I taste it, to me, it tastes just like, remember when your mom would make all those homemade pumpkin, not the ones at the store, but the homemade pumpkin pies? It tastes just like exactly what you're getting ready to put into the pie to get ready to put in the oven and bake it. So if you use the date, okay, same amount at that. Let's see if there's any other.
How long to bake?
It's private, probably. Let me see.
I didn't see any other questions.
I'll look up.
All right.
What is the purpose of the water in the baking pan?
So the purpose, yeah, it's good because I couldn't see that. It doesn't seem to be scrolling for me for some reason.
It's private.
The reason why you put the water is it just creates just a nice water bath and stuff. So it's cooking it all the way through from the bottom up through the top. And it also gives a little bit of steaming and stuff to go with it. So it just keeps it from drying up and it keeps it moist, but cooks it. And that's what you want. So you want that, you know, when you actually would like eat into a pumpkin pie and you get that nice creamy pumpkin, that's what you want to have it do. So if you just put it in there without the water, it actually will actually kind of more dry up a little bit. So, and then like the edges around it too will dry up around from the ramekin stuff. So it just keeps it pretty. And it also cooks it better. So great question. All right. So now we're gonna get this the pumpkin spice cake. I'm sure if you guys, I'm sure when you're looking, you're like, gosh, I wish that I would have all this stuff cut up and just have it in my house so it's all ready to go. I agree. I would like to have the same thing. So have it all ready in these little dishes and then you just mix it up. Or even better, somebody makes it for you and it's ready to go when you get home. Right, that over there. All right. So when we're following along on the recipe, I try to keep everything all together. So I've already done the blender. I said I already did the flaxseed because I knew I was going to have a dirty blender. So the flaxseed's your binder. So all it is just regular. I'm going to show you a little bit. It is. So just regular flaxseed meal that's already ground up. So it's been sitting here for a little while, so it gets quite thick, and you just add water to it, and then when you put it in the blender, all of that does is just make it really smooth. Because a lot of sometimes what you'll find when you even got the ground flaxseed is every once in a while you're going to get like a flax seed that's not been ground up, and then you kind of get that little bite into it. So when you put it into the blender, it just makes it creamier. So I already did that, but I'm just adding a little bit of water because flaxseed is just like a sieve. It just soaks up water, so it'll get really thick, and I don't want it to be so thick it's like a brick.
What's the purpose of flaxseed?
So flaxseed's a binder, so it's going to act like your eggs. That's what you want. So you're wanting to be able to hold the things together. So normally, like when you would do a regular pumpkin cake, you put in oil and the eggs and all that type of thing. The flaxseed is going to be your binder. It's going to be your egg replacement. And you can use all kinds of different things. Flaxseed takes on like it doesn't make a flavor into it. I mean, it's nutty if you eat it like this, but when you put it into a cake or other type of ingredients, it just takes on the flavor of everything that's around it. So it's not one of those ones where every once in a while you can get like egg replacements that are powder like, which is like energy. Those tend to sometimes the flavor of them kind of makes the like your cakes or your muffins and stuff taste just a little strange. Flax seeds is probably one of the best ones to use for just no flavor but binder. Good questions. You guys are asking some really good questions. Okay, so we've got we got those done, the flax seeds. I'll just set them over here. So in a large bowl, we're going to stir together the sugar, which I'll show you about that, the applesauce, pumpkin puree, and flaxseed mixture. So I'll go ahead and add in the flaxseed. I'll go backwards. And the flaxseed, I'll just show you really quick. It just looks like that. So it's just kind of mixed up, but like I said, it's your egg replacer. So just a nice glob on the bottom. Not very pretty. All right, so the sugar, so it says, the 2 cups raw cane sugar. What I did, because like I said, I was cutting calories. So I did 1 cup of raw cane sugar and then 1 cup of the date paste. So date paste is all you do, and this is, I've actually made up because I got a big thing from Costco. All you're doing is you're taking your dates, make sure there's no pits in them. You're soaking them in water. So like you have them like overnight. So you could just put them on your counter in a pan or a dish like this, and then just let them soak, because then they get really ooey gooey. And then you throw them in a blender and you blend them up. So the date paste looks just like, it's just dates and water. So you leave the same water that you already have in the dates and you mix it all up. So it just smells like dates that are blended, but it's a sweetener. So it's a natural sweetener. So you're not getting as many calories and those kind of things as sugar. Can the brulee be packed and shipped? Yes. We can make you one and have it. You could have it off. We could say, okay, come out to our house and just pick it up, and it'll be on the porch. Yeah. All right. So that's funny. So I just put when I was just putting them together, I just put the date paste in with the sugar, so it's all kind of just soaking up. So I will grab this. I'll just put it in there. So raw cane sugar is what we use.
How much water for dates?
So for dates, so if you're going to make, let's just say that you have, let's see, if you use a pack of dates, so they're usually like say 12, 16 ounces, you'd want to put all the dates in here. Like I said, make sure it doesn't really matter if it's Majul or whatever, just whatever dates you want, put them in there. And then if you've got, let's just say these were the dates here that were on the bottom, you're going to want to have enough water to cover the top of them. So about maybe 1/4 of an inch of water on the top, because your dates are going to soak up that water. And then just once you've got them all, they're soaked and they're all nice and gooey, when you throw them in the blender, it's just all going to mix up and the dates are going to keep soaking up. So they're, you just put it in something like this and just use date paste. You could use date paste for all your cooking. You can use it on the oatmeal in the morning. So if you didn't want sugar, but you wanted a sweetener, there's all kinds of different things that you can use date paste for. On toast. So it's almost like an apple butter, but it's just dates. So lots of different things that you can do with a date paste if you make a lot of it up, which is not a bad thing. All right. Then we've got, so flaxseed mixture, we've got the sugars in there. So the date paste and the sugar. You could actually, I've cut it back to where it's 1 and 1. I'm going to try it the next time I do this recipe. I'm going to try it even more and do like say 1.5 cup of the date paste and 1/2 cup of sugar. So I'm going to keep trying to see how much of the sugar I can cut out and stuff with just using date paste. So like I said, a lot less calories, but if you don't worry about sugar and stuff, then you can go with the 2 cups raw cane sugar. And then you've got the applesauce, which is your fat replacer. So you've got we actually said 1 1/4 cups unsweetened applesauce. Who needs oil and eggs and things like that when you have all these good ingredients? Let me just throw these over to the side. Okay, that's in there. And then, so we've got, okay, so we have we've got the sugar, the applesauce, the pumpkin puree, and the flaxseed mixture. And then we're going to mix that together. It smells really good because you've got, like I've got the pumpkin pie spice for a couple other things and stuff. So it just, it's just, okay. That's applesauce in the eyeball. Not recommended during the recipe, but it can happen. I think I'm on the front of me too, so it does happen. That's the fun of cooking. Getting yourself dirty, getting, not burning yourself or anything, but get, things flap up in your face, all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, cure for Christmas. That's a great.
even me, believe me, I have done classes where I have put a towel next to the stove. I did it at Whole Foods, and I had it next to like one of the burners and stuff, and the towel went on fire. So I had one of those. So I've done pretty much everything. So never feel bad if things happens, because I probably have done it and probably done it bigger. Okay. So there is the mixture of everything that we have that we just put in together. So it just looks like a nice brown, got a little bit of the flaxseed look and feel, but smells really, really good. All right. And I use just date, okay, so a quarter cup of the sugar, and same with the date paste. If I don't want to use sugar or I use just date paste, so most of the recipes I've really cut back on the sugar. It might, what it does, because like I said, I haven't quite gone all the way to the date paste yet. If you do, it might make it a little, you might have it more like that when it sets, like a cake sets up, it's really, really moist, and it doesn't kind of give you that cake consistency. That's the only thing that the date paste might do, because it might put too much moisture.
Yeah.
Can you substitute the sugar? Yes, you can. So you're going to have to play with that a little bit, because monk fruit sweetener, which is, it's like a no calorie type of sweetener, you're going to want to play with it. So what I would do on this is I would add in like your date paste, or you just add in your monk fruit and start tasting it. So don't put like 2 cups of monk fruit in here. I would just start, like I'd put maybe a quarter cup or even less than that, like 1/8 of a cup, stir it in and taste it, and then keep adding to it. But let's see, so monk fruit.
They didn't see, I took my
In
video.
case everybody's not familiar,
They didn't do that.
this is a monk fruit sweetener. So there's like 0 calories, 0 fat, 0 sodium, 4 grams of carbs, protein 0. So it's not a one-to-one substitution. They say that you can, but I have put it in there as like the amount that it says, and it's gotten where it just doesn't taste quite right. So I would go a little bit less, but just kind of try it and play with it.
Whole wheat flour.
Mhm. She
Wait,
didn't.
no, that you showed me better, because yeah, okay. So what was the whole wheat flour?
Yeah, what type of flour are you using?
Yes, I'm using a white whole wheat flour. So you could use, because it's one of those things that, some people will put in there, they'll do like garbanzo bean or something like that flour. The only problem is it changed the consistency. So yeah, just a white whole wheat flour. So then that way I'm getting the benefits of the whole wheat, but I'm not getting that dark heaviness of a whole wheat. So it's just a white. And those are usually like Bob's Red Mill that you can find. They're pretty much all over the place, that I've seen them like in Sprouts and King Soopers and all the different stores. Okay, so we've got that. So we've got everything in here in a smaller bowl. That's the side. We have got the flour we talked about, so the white whole wheat flour. And then we're going to add in the cloves, the cinnamon, the nutmeg, yum, baking soda and powder, and then a little bit of sea salt. So I left the sea salt out. That's the only reason is Jerry he's always like too much salt or too much this. So I always leave it out, and then we can always add it, or I can add it at the end. So I just mixed everything together. And I just dump that in, make sure it all comes out. And then I'm going to mix it up. Just make sure you get all your good spices in that flour, because you want everything, because otherwise if you don't mix it up really well, you've got, too much cinnamon and cloves in one area. So you just want to make sure you do a good mix with it.
Might want to explain raw cane sugar. They think it's not white sugar.
Yeah, so raw cane sugar is definitely not white sugar. So it's got a lot more nutrients in it, and it's almost like, so here's what raw cane sugar looks like. So it's a little heartier. So it almost kind of looks like what you see like Hawaiian sugar or something, but the raw cane sugar is just better for you and it doesn't change in your body as much. So we always recommend the raw cane. But I know monk fruit and everything else has gotten really, really popular. Okay. All right, so we're going to get the dry ingredients and we're going to add them to the wet mixture.
Gluten-free flour question.
You could do gluten-free flour. I would make sure that you get a really, really good gluten-free flour, because that's, because you want to make sure that, and I know that like there's a baker here in town, that Debbie's, that does a really good gluten-free flour, because she's gotten it where she's mixed it together and it makes things rise, and it's a really good one. Just, spend a little bit more money versus the cheaper ones that are gluten-free, so that you get that rising capability that you're looking for with that gluten-free. But yeah, you could do it. I could use her flour that she's put together and make it up, and it would be just fine. It would taste really good. Okay, so the only thing I didn't add, you guys didn't catch me, pumpkin puree. Lots of pumpkin. So basically between the Brulee and this recipe, I used a full one of those 24-ounce cans. What ends up usually happening is I'll usually get one of those big cans, and I'll end up, and you can freeze pumpkin too. So if you got the pumpkin puree and you don't use all of it, let's just say you make some really good pumpkin bread and maybe some muffins and or even these recipes, and then you have some left over, put it in a baggie, write on the baggie what it is, because it's always one of those things. It's like, surprise, it's in your freezer for a while, and then freeze it, and then just let it, sit on your counter and let it thaw out. And so it's just as good when you keep it in the freezer. Okay. I'm good. Okay, there we go. So that's what that looks like. So now I'm going to add it to a glass baking dish. It just looks like a pumpkin, almost like a bread mix, but it smells really, really good. Okay, glass baking dish.
You have another source.
This is a good one. Gluten-free. So Bob's Red Mill. That one's a really good one. And I've used this for a lot of different recipes, especially in classes and things, and it rises really well. So it's got like your sweet white rice, flour, whole grain brown rice, potato starch, tapioca, xanthan, all that kind of stuff, which is really good. So this is what I'd recommend. It's a little more expensive, but truthfully, depending on how much you use it, it's well worth the price, because then you will get something that's kind of gummy. And one thing too, like a little tip, if somebody says you need like a cup of oat flour, just grab your rolled oats. And if you've got, the blender stuff, just put, rolled oats in a blender and blend them up. And then you've got oat flour. So instead of going and buying one of those $9 bags from Bob's or anywhere else and stuff, just make your own. Especially when you're doing recipes and it says like 1 cup of oat flour. Don't go buy a big thing. Just grab your oats, put them in there, and make your 1 cup. Okay, so scrape it all out. Get all the goodies. And you think about this, if somebody licks the bowl, remember the days and stuff when we had, you couldn't, your mom was always like, no, don't lick the bowl, because it was, you had all the raw eggs and everything else in them, even though as kids, we didn't think about it. We still licked the bowl, ate the cookie dough, all those kind of things. You don't have to worry about it with this one, because there's no eggs. So then you just smooth it out. You could do a fun topping with this cake too. So when it's all done, you could make like a coconut topping. So you could do like some coconut and some date paste together, mix it all up, add some pecans, put it, when it's all done and cooked, you just put it on top and put it in the broiler, and then you can almost have like a coconut topping on it, which would be really good. So there it is, all ready to go. And I'm going to get it in the oven. All right. Turn the burner on. All right, so we got that. Let me check the brulee. Looking good. All right, Ooey Gooey. Now this one's a fun one. This one is a really easy cake to do, and it's one that is I think favorite. And then especially since I've taken all the sugar out, because it had tendency to have a lot of sugar in it, it's actually become one of Jerry's favorites. So it's nothing better to have like this when it comes out of the oven. You got all the Ooey Gooey, and then you put some soy ice cream next to it. Really good. Really, really good. Okay. Throw that over there. Okay, so let me grab the last set.
I don't know if it's a question or just a statement.
Is the first ingredient in the monk fruit thoughts? So yeah, that's one of the sugar ingredients. So erythritol. So
It's recommended by McDougall.
Yeah. So Jerry says it's recommended by Dr. McDougall, because he actually used to recommend stevia a lot. And then he's kind of backed away from the stevia and he's more using the erythritol. So I think you're okay. I mean, Dr. McDougall says it's okay. He's blessed it, which I don't even know if I did that right. Then
He's good.
Yeah, he's good.
Thanks, that's what I wanted to know.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, it's monk fruit is it's expensive, but depending on if it says a 1-to-1 sugar replacement, but like I said, I would try it first because when I've tried it and I've done a 1-to-1, it tends to be a little much. So it's almost like when they were doing all the Splenda and everything, they're like, yeah, just replace as much as the sugar as you want. It doesn't always work out that way. So test it and then just taste it, because you don't have to worry about the eggs and things like that. So, and see if it has enough sweetener in for it. But I have a feeling that I would say when you're making this, you're definitely not going to need as much as it's not a 1-to-1. I wouldn't do a 1-to-1. All right. Ooey gooey pumpkin cake. All right. So we've got the oven, of course, going, everything else. So in a meeting bowl, we've got flour, we've got the baking powder, we didn't put the sea salt in. We've got the sugar in there. So everything's in there. So the sugar is going to be, I've got the date paste. So same thing. I actually broke this one for you. So I did a 1/4 cup of raw cane sugar and a 1/4 cup of date paste. So my next time I make it again, I'm going to see if I can cut out all the sugar and just use the date paste. So it just has a little bit of sugar in it. That's my goal. Cut it out and see if we can use date paste for everything. So then Jerry will probably eat like 3 helpings versus 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just make in there. So we just got that sea salt, date paste, and spices. Because sometimes I'll start and I'll go and I'll admit it. I'll look at the recipe and then a lot of times I'll just dump everything into one bowl. So I'm just making sure I'm following everything. So all the spices in there. So the spices are a lot, but it's good. So you've got nutmeg, you've got cloves, you've got cinnamon, and then like I said, you can put a little bit of the sea salt if you want in there. I always leave it out on the side just because especially when Jerry's, may do it when Jerry's not watching. To admit.
Yeah.
But I don't do it when he's watching.
Low sugar.
So just stir that up. It's going to be it almost kind of reminds me of like when you add butter to like flour and stuff and you kind of get that little bit of clunkiness, but that's okay. So just stir it up like that because you're going to mix it here in a second. Okay. Okay. And then the smaller bowl. So we've got a little dish here. So I've got the pumpkin puree. So the pumpkin puree that's in here, because of course I used a whole can for the other 2 recipes. This is the one that came out of the freezer. So I just let it set out and then I added the pumpkin puree, and you can tell by just looking at it, it looks just like pumpkin puree. It holds up really well when you put it in the freezer, especially if you have extra. And then I've got the 1/2 cup of the non-dairy milk, which I just use silk, just the soy, but you could use your almond milk, you could use your cashew milk, whatever, what other flavors that you have. So I'm just going to give it a quick little mix. And it all basically does is gives you a really creamy pumpkin. So it looks just like pumpkin with like creamy pumpkin mixture. That's all it looks like. All right. So pour wet ingredients into the dry ingredients. So here we go. So we do have vanilla, so I'll add that here in just a second. Make sure you get all the goodies out. You want all that pumpkin and everything else to come out. And I'm going to show you something about vanilla. So I'm going to add the vanilla in. Give it a stir. So a lot of times and stuff, what you will hear is that some people are like, they don't want, they have like an allergic reaction to alcohol because of course, vanilla has usually alcohol and things in it. So you can, if you didn't want to use the vanilla here, or if you get one that's non-alcohol, and like Trader Joe's and a bunch of stores have that. Not easy to find though. There's like one, like usually Trader Joe's is the only place that I could ever find it. You can get vanilla powder. So there is, you can tell I wrote on it. So and usually in where you get the spices, so like in the healthy stores, you can get a vanilla powder, and then you can use that in place of it. So it gives you that vanilla flavor, but it doesn't have any of the alcohol or anything else in it. So I think when I bought like this much of it, so there's about that much in the bag, I think it was like $2. So it was very inexpensive. And then you just keep it, you know, in a plastic bag, or you could put it in a jar and then just keep it off the side, and you can just use it that way. But that's a quick tip if you don't want to have the alcohol that's in the vanilla.
Oat flour.
Oat flour for this recipe. Yeah, you could. So the same thing is, you can go, you know, you can buy the expensive little packets of it, or you can just make your own. It'll probably, the only thing it'll try to change the texture just a little bit, but it's not a bad thing. It'll make it probably just a little, like a little bit spongier, but once you put it all together and stuff, it's going to be good. Yeah, you could use definitely use the oat flour. Okay, so that's mixed up together. Grab another dish. Once you try this recipe, you're probably going to make like double it. It's that good. Okay, so just taking all the goodies out. Spread it out. And it doesn't look like it's a lot, but once you spread it out, it actually, because it expands, then it looks like a full cake. If you do a double recipe, of course, you know, make sure that you use the right size of dish. And then if you are worried about it and stuff, like you've got a really nice clean stove, you might want to just put this on a baking, like a baking sheet. And then that way, if it does happen to like bubble over a little bit because you're going to put this topping on it, then you don't have to worry about it too much. It still will, it'll just be on the baking dish and not on the bottom of your stove, which nothing worse than having to clean that off. Okay, let me wash my hand real quick. All right, so I just spread it out, so you can see it's probably about a 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4 inch thick right now. I just spread it out and made it even. So the next step is the topping. So I've got the date paste, and I've got the brown sugar. So same thing, I'm going to see if I can cut out as much brown sugar for the next one. So I've got that in there, and then I have pecans. You can toast them, or you could not toast them, do whatever. And if you don't want pecans, you could actually just leave those out, or you could use walnuts or other type of nuts and stuff that you have. So I'm just going to add those in to the date paste and the sugar. Grab another spoon. Just give it a nice little stir. You don't, like I said, you don't have to have the nuts, but it just kind of adds a nice little flavor to it. Mix it up. Normally without the date paste, this is more just like, you know, how it's like sugar. And so it just kind of just, you know, just you can cover it and just kind of sprinkle it on. But when you add the date paste, of course, it makes it very creamy. So same thing though, you're just going to just kind of dabble it on. Just kind of spread it out all over. You want to get it to all the good, you know, the end pieces, the corners, everything. Just spread it out. Don't mix it in. And I'll show you why here in a second. Just kind of spread it out, nice little coating, almost like you're doing a pizza and you're putting the tomato sauce on the top. Just spread it out. A little messy. So there's what it looks like spread out. Now, this is the trick. This is what makes it ooey gooey, and it's so simple. You need 1.5 cups hot water. So I've got the 3/4 cup here. I've lost all my 1 cup measuring. I don't know where they went, so I gotta go buy a new set. So just dump that on top. And that's it. You don't mix it. You don't do anything to it. Then you walk really nice and walk it to the oven. The cake, pumpkin cake's about this thick already. And the brulee's probably got about 5 more minutes. because we have a faster oven that's got convection with it. So definitely when you're doing the recipes, you know, it all depends on your oven. So just watch things and test them. You know, like remember when your mom always had the toothpick and she was always dipping the toothpick into things? You want to do the same thing depending on what your oven is. Because some ovens will actually, they'll heat like in the middle, but maybe not on the side. So you just kind of have to watch it a little bit. But most of the time, I would say you're pretty close to the times that you need when you're baking things, but just watch them, just in case your oven's a little bit different. All right, let me grab this over here. Grab this question. That's water. Yeah, it's just water on top. That's it. And what it does is it mixes. So what it's going to do, and you'll get to see it here, it mixes with the topping, and what it does is all the topping, because it's like the ooey gooey, actually sinks to the bottom. Some of it stays in the middle, but it all goes to the bottom, and then that becomes that date paste and the brown sugar and the pecans all becomes almost like this pudding or ooey gooey, kind of just like almost like a hot fudge, but a pumpkin fudge. And the water just makes it go down through the cake, which is it's just the coolest thing. And it's, like I said, you can see that it was really simple to make, but it just gives you that when you bring it out, and if you've got it, especially when it's warm and you're bringing it out to your table for your family and things, you got that ooey gooey with it. And then with some of the soy ice cream or something next to it, nothing better. And you could always make like a, you know, if you wanted to, like even a caramel sauce to sprinkle a bit more, or you could add some fresh, you know, fruit around it and all that. And it's really good. And the chocolate's just as good. It's like chocolate with hot fudge. So you could actually, if you did like the chocolate one, or you even did this one, you could do, you know, the little dishes that look like, let's say we had a bigger one of this, and this is a small one. So if you had one like this and it was a little bit taller, like some of your parfait glasses, you could actually take this cake and dip it up and put, like on the bottom, you could put the ooey gooey pumpkin cake, and then you could put a layer of, like, say, tofu, tofu with like whipped cream. And then you could put some more of the cake, and then you just kind of layer it, and then just put like, you could put like a little caramel sauce on top, or like some fruit on there, or even just like say mint or whatever. And you can have these most beautiful desserts versus, you know, serving it on a plate or something like that. You could just layer it and just have it all ready. And truthfully, you could do them hot if you wanted to. Just have them ready at the table and make them, you know, just serve them all up. And while you're, you know, everybody's still eating on turkey, and not turkey, but baked turkey, tofurkey, or other things and stuff. But if they're eating those kind of things, and granted, we do have some family members who'll eat turkey, we know that. You can make it where it's warm and it'll just be ooey gooey, or you could actually make it up ahead of time and make it cool. It's still going to be like a pumpkin pudding with cake, which is really good. So how do you make the whipped cream? Yeah, so the whipped cream is, and I should have added a recipe to it. The whipped cream is pretty much silken tofu. And so it's like, so you would just use like a regular, you know, the container, like the silken tofu, just like this, take it out, put it into the blender. And then you're going to add, so depending on how the flavor you want, you add vanilla. So like a teaspoon of vanilla, mix it, it's still in the blender. And then for flavor, it's up to you how you want to flavor it. So your silken tofu is not going to be sweet. So depending on if you don't want it really sweet, you could leave it normal and then just layer your cake and your tofu. Or if you want a little bit sweet, I would add the date paste, because then that way you've got that mixture in it and it gives you a little bit of that sweetness. Or you could actually do something like the monk fruit, you know, just a little bit of it to make it sweet, and then just blend it up. It's not going to be like frothy, like, you know, like whipped creams that you see out there that come out of the cans and things. But it's just, when you put it in between the cake, it just becomes this really ooey gooey mess. It's really, really good. So silken tofu, just a container of that, teaspoon of vanilla. And then I would probably start with like a tablespoon of your date paste, or probably a teaspoon of your monk fruit, and then mix it up and then taste it and see if you want to add a little bit more. You could, depending on if you want to too, as they always say, salt, you know, just add a little bit of like a sprinkle of salt, because that brings out your sweetness. But that's up to you. But that's how I would do it and make the tofu. But like I said, it's not going to be this frothy, creamy things, unfortunately, but it's good. Could you please show me the email? Oh, my email address to email me. So my email address is, I think what you're asking, is Kelley. So it's Kelley at, it's sticky everywhere, plant-based-kitchen, all one word, .com. Yeah, email me and I am more than, you know, like Mona and Cynthia and everybody else that's on here, they will tell you and stuff. I am more than happy to help, you know, with recipes and you know, if you've got like a favorite recipe and you want to change it to something else, or even if you want my, because I just did a couple classes for Thanksgiving food. If you want that too, I'm happy to share. I'm happy to share whatever recipes I have, because it's all about, you know, health and wellness and building community and all that. So we could definitely, I was trying to think what we've got, what we made. We made a Thanksgiving loaf that had all the Thanksgiving flavors. And we did one of them we did with just like a tomato ketchup sauce and a jalapeno mixed in. So it had actually been cooking for a little while, so it was spicy. And then we just roasted up the jalapenos on the side. And then the other one, we did the exact same mixture, but we added cranberries to it. So you got this like cranberry kind of spicy sauce that's over the top, and it's really good. It just tastes like you're eating almost like stuffing, because all the Thanksgiving flavors with that. And then we did like a fruit and nut stuffing, which is really delicious. Doesn't have any eggs or turkey or anything my mom used to do. And then we did, I'm trying to think what else we've done. But I got tons of recipes. So I got tons of different ones like vegetables, you know, butternut squash steaks, you know, whatever you're looking for recipes. What's the name of the book? Of my book, cookbook? It is, I think it's
Plant-based.
I think it's just Plant-Based Kitchen. Yeah, so that's,
It's not on Amazon.
Yeah, it's not on Amazon. If you want one and stuff, let me know. I'm probably going to start writing. I've got so many recipes now. I'm probably going to start writing another cookbook. I'm just trying to find time because I do work full time also. And I work at UC Health, and it's crazy busy, of course, because of COVID. I'm not on the clinical side. I'm on the IT side and making sure they're all getting, you know, trained and access and all the things that they need. But it's a little crazy. So, but once I get it started, I'll be writing another cookbook here soon. So, and hopefully get all that put together. But yeah, we've got the cookbook, and Jerry's bringing a copy. Yeah, and we can always set it up and mail it. But yeah, it just looks like this Plant-Based Kitchen Cookbook. And the cool thing about it, it's got all these great recipes, is Jerry's in there. He wrote some information on it. And then we've got Chef Antonio, he has a lot of Italian recipes in there that are really good. So you get free recipes from him. And then there is Chef Earl. He's out of the state now, but he did raw recipes. So you'll notice that it's broken up into all kinds of different recipes, and, you know, shiitake bacon, Italian leafy green salad, all those things that are in there. So yeah, those are available. It's just $20 for the whole book. But like I said, I will start putting together my new cookbook. And the new one, what I want to do is put, of course, you know, photo, and because I got all these beautiful photos now, photo, and then the recipe, photo, recipe, photo, recipe. Because I know that, like I do too, I love cookbooks and this one only has a few photos, but I love cookbooks that have photos, because you're always like, ooh, like eye candy, and then you want to make that recipe. So, yep. So you can just email me at Kelley@plantbasedkitchen.com, and then we can set up the mailing and send it over to you, or if you're close in town, stuff, drop it off or something like that. So happy to do that. But it's about 250, 60 recipes, I think, that are in there. So, but if there's not, like I said, new recipes, I'm happy to share Thanksgiving, because I know that that's important. And, you know, we don't want it to be just another day of working remotely at home. So happy to share some of the recipes we've done here. So let me grab the brulee. Woo, hot. So my oven smells like baked potatoes and pumpkin, because I've got baked potatoes in there. Because like I said, we could not eat all sweets. But we don't want to eat all the sweets for dessert or for dinner. All right, let me grab another hot pad so I can keep this up. One of them up. So like I was talking about, and I know there was the question about the water. So if I would have put the water in this, and the water starts burning off, so you have to kind of watch it a little bit, but if I wouldn't have put the water, the pumpkin would separate away from the side of my ramekins or whatever kind of dish I'm using. And then it would also, you would see a lot more cracks in the top, because it would dry up a lot. So I'm going to grab one that I think is really pretty. There is the pumpkin brulee without any topping on it. And it's just, like I said, it's like eating, when you dish into it, it's just like eating pumpkin. It's almost like the pumpkin pie filling, which is really good. Yes, please.
Dip into it.
Dip into it. All right, let me grab. So, and I can, like I said, I can put I'll wait a little bit and stuff because I got everything going, but I can put the sugar topping on there if we want to, but I think it's just as pretty without the sugar on it. So if you do put the sugar, and like I said, if we run into a little bit of time, I'll put one in there, but if you don't, if you put the sugar on it, you'll just get like more of a caramelized top, but grab spoon. So I just put like some fruit next to it, which is really pretty for dish. If you actually had some of the tofu whipped cream, you could actually put a little bit of a dollop of that on there too. And then people have got, this great looking dessert. You could also, like I was trying to think, you could put like different, toppings on it. You could do all kinds of different things. So let me I'm going to keep this one for the picture because it's the prettiest. And I'll grab one that's good, but it's not as pretty. I'll set these off to the side to cool. You can actually cool these too. So chill them, like I said on the recipe, chill them after you do the sugar topping, then chill them and then have them the next day. And it's still just as good. But truthfully, when I do something that's pumpkin, I like it warm. So that's always my kind of my thing. Warm pumpkin. And even when I get, like if I do something the next day, like a cake or something, I always put it in the microwave, heat it up, and then put some the whipped cream with it or the soy ice cream or something like that.
Gooey.
Trying to get it word. There you go. That's what it looks like. Doesn't that look just like pumpkin pie filling? If I put that back. It tastes like, I make my mom's pumpkin pie for others that love the pumpkin pie because it's deep dish. But of course it has eggs, it has milk, it has all kinds of other things. And then it has a couple secret ingredients that I don't tell the family yet. I said it's going to come out in my will because everybody's trying to figure out what the secret ingredients. It tastes just like that without all the eggs and all those kind of things. It tastes just like I'm eating a pumpkin pie. Yum. A dollop of soy ice cream or something on that. Yum. Okay, put that off the side. Pull the spoon over. So yes, please. Do you think you could put it in a crust and make it in a pie? Yes, you could. So it's a little bit looser than a pie, but one of the things that, because it says the cornstarch, add a little bit more cornstarch to it and mix it up really well. But then yes, you could, buy one of the pie crust, like the whole wheat or something that are at, that you can get at Whole Foods. You hear one of my dogs barking. But you could do that and then put it into a pie and make it a pie that way. And you're still going to get the really pretty, like we were just looking at the top of this one. You're still going to get that nice, when you do a pumpkin pie and you get the nice kind of crinkles and things, you're going to get that look. So yes, you could do it. You could do it in a pie. I would just add, because the brulee is a lot, not as firm. So I would add probably just a little bit more arrowroot or cornstarch, and then you get the same thing. And it would be really good. It's better than what because a lot of people they'll see like, hey, make pumpkin pies and use the firm tofu. But if you don't mix in the firm tofu, if you don't mix it well, I don't like eating something that looks like it's supposed to be pumpkin pie, but it has like white specks in it. Like that. So make sure whatever you do, the silken, and just add a little bit more cornstarch or arrowroot, you could do the pie. That would be good. And you could also do it, you can make little ones like this too. So if you've got, little dishes or round dishes, like those little, what am I trying to say, those little pastry dishes, you could put the crust on, kind of pre-bake it a little bit, and then put this on there and put it in the oven. That would be good. That would be really good. Then it comes out and then you take an ice cream scoop and do an ice cream scoop on it, and then maybe a little bit of mint or even like a little bit of drizzle of some fruit type of thing. Everybody would want to be at your house for Thanksgiving. All right, so I'm going to grab check it really quick. I have these little spears things that I use, so I just usually grab those. I don't know if it's all the way done yet. Look at that. Got a little bit of moisture still, so I put that in there, but this is what your pumpkin cake's gonna look like when it's, whoops. When it's done. It's almost done. It needs like 2 more minutes. But there is your pumpkin cake. It's really good and it comes out and it's really big pieces. This is where, like I said, when you've got it to this point, you could actually mix up some date paste and some coconut and maybe some like pecans or walnuts, put it on top and then put it in a broiler. And then you could have this really kind of almost gooey spiced pumpkin cake, which would be really good too. But this one's very basic, but it's one of Jerry's favorites just because it's a basic pumpkin cake, not too sweet, you know, all those kind of things like that, but really good and tasty. So I'll put this back in the oven to show you because I know we're running out of time. And then the Ooey Gooey's not done yet, but it's close. I'm going to show you what it looks like. I was hoping my ovens would. So the Ooey Gooeys, you can see where all the topping is already sinking to the bottom. So it's got a nice look. And then at the bottom, but it's kind of hard to see right now. But on the bottom, like right here, this is where all the Ooey Gooeys come in. So this is where all of your Ooey Gooey, kind of like the pumpkin pudding, is all going to be here on the bottom. So when you dip into this, when it's all the way fully cooked, it's all going to be Ooey Gooey, like the first 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch on the bottom. And then you got the cake on the top. And it's really, really good. Throw that back in there. So Jerry's daughter is going to end up with a lot of this tomorrow because Jerry, like I said, Jerry, I don't need it. A couple bites here and there, and I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm done. But she will be feeding it with the family, so she'll be enjoying it here soon when Jerry drops it off tomorrow. So what other questions do you have? I know we're right close to time. Sorry I couldn't dish the pies up or the cakes up because I need about another 2 or 3 minutes. I was hoping they'd get done, but it doesn't look like they got all the way done. But they are good. Any questions for me?
No, thank you. That all looks good though.
You're welcome. They're easy. Like I said, I tried to find easy, good recipes and stuff in my repertoire of trying to get that to where you guys could try it and enjoy it. So, but definitely if you need anything else, just email me, Kelley at Plant-Based Kitchen. And then we'll pull off the emails that are on there too and make sure we send over that chocolate cake because that's a really good chocolate cake.
Yeah, I'd love that recipe.
Sure. Yeah. If you don't, if you didn't put it on the chat, that's fine. Just send it over to the Kelley at Plant-Based Kitchen and I'll just send you the recipes and do that.
Thank you, Kelley.
Anything else you need, just let me know.
And I think the other version of Thanksgiving you had was Mexican, right? A Mexican version of the meatloaf. Is that right?
Yes, I got a Mexican version, a regular version, and then a Thanksgiving loaf. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
They make the best, like I said, the Thanksgiving loaf the next day, because we also had a cranberry sauce. Next day, you could actually put it on like toasted bread and you can put the Thanksgiving loaf, put cranberry sauce, put the mashed potatoes, put the stuffing, and then the caramelized onions, and you could actually make a great sandwich. There's nothing better than that sandwich.
A Bobby.
Right.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Love you guys. But let me know if you need anything. We're happy to help.
Bye.
Kelley,
Thanks so much.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye.
Happy
Yep.
Thanksgiving.
You same back to you.
Safe. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.